Hey, what's going on, everyone? So, a few random tickets landed me Sephiroth's LD. So after getting his EX one pull later, I went and purpled him. He's in a bit of an unfortunate position right now, without getting into further detail, even with his LD and burst. But I have plenty of ingots, and he certainly got some usability still. So if you're interested in what the One-Winged Angel does, what he offers to a team, and what I think of him, stick around and find out. Sephiroth is primarily a single target attacker. While he has low base speed, he has a unique stacking buff that doesn't expire that boosts his speed and lowers enemy speed. With his EX, he has 100% group damage and 100% brave reduction, and gains potent brave regen. And with his LD, he can boost brave damage done by the party and also applies a sap effect. I'll start this video off by talking about Sephiroth's stacking buff, Genova. It is granted by his skill 2 and by a limit break in his EX+, and is increased but not reapplied by his skill 1. The buff itself can stack to 5, and each stack further increases Sephiroth's speed and has a static decrease of enemy speed. With it active, he gets an enhanced brave attack with 5 hits. His skill 1 is Fervent Blow, a 5-hit HP attack done twice. If Genova is active, this will raise its stack count by 2, but otherwise has nothing else going on with it. His skill 2 is Octaslash, a 7-hit HP attack. This will grant 1 stack of Genova and 2 stacks if he breaks or attacks broken, and is how you get Genova back if it gets dispelled. He'll gain an invisible, permanent boost to his attack and max bravery based on the level of Genova at the time of the cast, which you can update by casting Octaslash again. His EX is Black Materia, which does not do brave hits but instead self-battery Sephiroth, reduces all enemy bravery to 0, and then does total group HP damage. Sephiroth gains a free skill use on next turn and is also granted Reunion, another stacking buff which raises his max bravery and grants initial bravery base regen. The EX Plus is interesting in that it's actually pretty minimal on paper. It's really an in-practice sort of thing, kinda like Cloud of Darkness's limit breaks. Realization gives the EX cast overflow and grants an HP plus attack as part of the EX Plus passive, which has 3 hits and overflow. 1 ingot is a fat boost to attack, which Sephiroth absolutely enjoys. 2 ingots gives him starting 3 stacks of Genova, the associated stab boost with it, and 2 stacks of Reunion, meaning your standard opener is going to be Fervent Blow into Octaslash, and then from there it's freeform. 3 ingots is not a lot, but it's certainly impactful, as it increases the gained bravery overflow of the EX cast and his stolen bravery overflow everywhere else. Not as loaded as other 3 ingot investments, but it certainly helps him out everywhere. His LD is Scintilla, 5 group hits into split HP damage done twice. Onto all enemies, it applies Cellular Erosion, which increases their brave damage taken and applies a stab effect for Sephiroth. The LD passive increases his attack, his stolen bravery overflow on everything, and gives further enhanced basic attacks that take priority over his other forms. The Brave 2+ becomes 6 hits, while the HP 2+ becomes 4 hits. I do not have it yet, but his burst finisher is Heaven's Light, 15 group hits that deal total HP damage. The burst effect is so far unique that it affects enemies instead of the party. While it's active, enemy bravery is set to 1 after every turn, whether that means unbreaking or 99.9% gravity. Obviously, it doesn't really boost party damage the way that Lightning or Kuja's burst would, but it offers a large amount of control. Pair Sephiroth up with a turn stealer and you've got breaks lined up, ready for the taking. At this time in Japan, Sephiroth has been rerun, getting his LD extension and a much needed rework, and it was quite the glow up. Starting with his rework, Fervent Blow turns into 5 group hits into split HP damage followed by 6 single target hits into single target HP damage, with 20% brave return in between. Octaslash remains single target for its brave hits, but gains splash HP damage and turns into, Sep 10 Decim Slash, because now it has 17 total hits. Sephiroth first self-batteries based on attack into an HP hit, does 7 hits into another HP hit, gets 20% brave return of the cumulative HP damage dealt, and then 7 more hits into an HP hit, with 20% splash HP damage based on the total damage dealt. As for his LD extension, it's also equally loaded. Firstly, it grants him a new buff, Bringer of Despair, which has a flat increase to his HP damage dealt and scaling increases to his attack, initial bravery, max bravery, and his overflow. This buff is increased by 1 when Sephiroth acts, and will increase by 2 on a turn when Sephiroth uses his LD. It also changes his Cellular Erosion debuff to be gold framed, meaning it cannot be dispelled by any means. At least, not until they decide that doesn't matter anymore. As for the attack itself, it becomes similar to Octaslash, with self battery and split HP damage followed by 8 group hits and split HP damage done twice, with 30% total HP damage brave return after the middle HP hit. So, I'll be completely honest. At first, the script I had wasn't exactly kind towards Sephiroth. His pre-rework kit isn't super efficient, his skill count and skill rotation isn't too kind to him in a prolonged fight, and his LD is simpler than Lightning's, Kuja's, or Noctis's. But then I started thinking about it more, thinking about his hit counts and his brave numbers and especially his brave gain. And honestly, it's good. It's not the best, but it's good. With regards to his base skills, he has high hit counts on both, so he has good potential at both half max bravery and low bravery. His EX is chunky brave gain, and capping with it shouldn't be that big of an issue. His LD also has a ton of hits, and the brave damage up of cellular erosion is helpful throughout a Lufenia fight. I just wish it would have applied not at the end of the cast for more benefit. Then of course, there's Sephiroth's regen from Reunion, which is very effective and boosted extra by iBrave and regen buffers. So what is his problem? In my eyes, it's that recent releases in comparison have just been fairly loaded with how well their skills work together, either thanks to just the LD or also along with a rework. Let me explain. Noctis has follow-ups throughout his kit as well as his unique debuff which decreases defense. Kuja has his LD effect which increases party attack as well as has his party holy enchant, and his rework gave him a holy imperil debuff. Lightning's always had a Thunder Imperil and Self Enchant, and her LD effect improves both brave and HP damage done. The common thing between them all is they have a means of boosting damage on their character and via something they do to the enemy. Sephiroth only has one of those, the debuff from the LD cast which only boosts brave damage. Granted, Sephiroth does have a lot of brave hits as well as brave gain in his kit, so it's not like it's a total waste, but it could be better. Broadly speaking, it's better and more effective for the player to stack damage up effects in the party, either via unique effects or buffs, as the primary form of boosting damage. Sephiroth's lack of group brave hits outside of his LD, as well as that being the only way for him to apply the debuff, diminishes the value which he can show with it. At the moment, his kit is lacking power gimmicks, making him have more noticeable benefit by party members who can further boost his already high attack and the power of his brave hits, but conversely, it makes him seem weaker without it. It's because of those reasons I personally would put Sephiroth right at the turning point between B tier and A tier, stronger than the likes of Garland and Squall, but not as strong as the likes of Lightning. So yeah, that's a purple Sephiroth. He wants to bring despair, and he kinda did, although it's probably as much despair to enemies via his EX damage as to players with some of these Lufenia fights. I don't outright dislike Sephiroth, it would have been a bit weird for me to invest in him if I did. I just feel like he's not exactly a shining star among units whose primary function is damage right now. Lightning just happened, Cloud is next month, Anniversary is happening in February, bringing with it who knows what in terms of surprises. None of this is Sephiroth's fault, it's kinda just the way the burst era cookie crumbles. Like I mentioned earlier, his rerun, rework, and LD extension are expected to arrive in July on a special triple burst unit banner along with Paladin Cecil and Warrior of Light, who also gets his C80 and LD extension then. As you'd imagine, picking him up then would make a lot more sense in terms of banner value and character value. However, you should consider that by that point, Squall and Garland would have gotten their adjustments, bringing them dramatically up the melee damage rankings. Tifa LD is about a month prior to that banner, and then Tidus's update will be about half a month later. Sephiroth will still stand amidst a sea of other melee damage LD units, but he has a much better time staying afloat in the future than he does now. If you like this breakdown of Sephiroth and want to see others like it, other Opera Omnia content, or want to share your thoughts, be sure to stick around and subscribe. Discussion, likes, and shares are always appreciated. And as always, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again.